Maryland offense still could struggle next year.
You are Locked On Terps, your daily podcast on the Maryland Terps, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, everyone? I'm Trey Moore, host of the Locked On Terps, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. So thank you guys all for making us part of your day. And today's episode is brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Have your cake and drink it too. Birthday cake flavor is back. No fork needed. Vanilla Y cakey flavor, caffeinated cake, and no sugar. It's party time. Order now at 5hourenergy.com or Amazon. Maryland football's offense, I still think, could struggle next year. I really do like the hiring of Clint Trickett. I think he does bring some versatility on the offensive side of the ball and hopefully some balance. I think he's going to be a really solid offensive coordinator next year for Maryland. And I think he's going to be the better ones, one of the better ones under Mike Locksley. I really do believe that with Clint Trickett. I think he's just going to give us better game plans. He understands almost every single position group of the offense just because of his experience on the offense. Has been a quarterback coach, has been an offense coordinator, has been a passing game coordinator, has been a tight end coach, was the best had one of the best running games in all of college football when he was the offense coordinator at Jacksonville State. He's done a lot of things really well, and I do think he's also a high ceiling type of guys. I love having guys that are high ceilings rather than just kind of playing everything safe. I think Clint Trickett is the definition of one of those guys that has a chance to be a big time coach in a couple of years. And a lot of times that means that they end up going to other places. But I think he has the opportunity to improve this Maryland offense. A big part of the reason we weren't very good last year was because we were 4-8 overall, 1-8 in the Big Ten. And a big part of that was because of the offense. Obviously, we have some talent. Obviously, we like Malik Washington as a sophomore QB, and we like a lot of what Maryland football has. But I do still think there's places where Maryland football could struggle next year. I think quarterback's not one of them. I think we all kind of have confidence in Malik Washington, and not having a quarterback that is going to struggle, you feel really good about. But the reality of the situation is I can feel good about Malik Washington, but there's still other parts of the offense that have to play well for him to reach his potential. Like, I don't think QB is a concern. I think he's arguably our best player on the football team. Like, I think you could argue Malik Washington as that going into next year. I think he's that good. But part of me also does think that you do need a good supporting cast in college football to be able to have some success. And I'm not convinced about this Maryland offense yet. And I do think there's a pretty good chance that it struggles a little bit. I honestly just think that you got to start up front. I like Maryland's offensive line better than I did last year, but I still don't necessarily know how to kind of feel about it. I don't have a lot of confidence. I'm not sure if we can be a B-level group. And when I say a B-level group, I'm not thinking we're going to be an offensive line with 2 first-round tackles and our whole line is going to go in the top 4 or 5 rounds of the NFL draft. I just mean a B-level group. A decent group in the Big Ten, gets the job done, isn't really something that we focus on because it's not playing bad, but it's not also something that we're like, oh my gosh, the Maryland offensive line is so good. Like, it's somewhere in between. It's a decent offensive line. Like, it's a middle ground. And I think when you have a decent offensive line and it's not a problem for a school like Maryland, you put yourself in a good spot. But I don't have confidence that it's going to be decent. It's been pretty bad every single year under Mike Locksley. I like some of the guys coming back, like Ratrell Perry, like Michael Hershey, like Isaiah Wright. You get Jalen Gilchrist back as well, who was a high-level recruit, Ryan Howerton, all those different guys that you guys know of that we're all really excited about to lock it at the transfer portal. But it's still not a group that you can feel confident in. It's just not. There's not. I don't think there's a guy that I'm like, oh my gosh, I know he's going to be really good up front. I don't think we have a guy like that. And that's a big part of our offense. If we can't
If we don't have good guys up front like we haven't last year on Maryland, and we don't play as a cohesive unit, it's going to just turn into what it was last year. And it's a big concern because we won't be able to run the ball. The pass protection won't be there. And so it's going to be a lot on Malik Washington's plate, and it's going to be too much. And we're going to end up throwing the ball 40 times a game, even with this new offensive coordinator in Clint Trickett. That's supposed to be a balance and have a balanced approach. So I'm concerned about the offensive line and how it's going to affect the rest of the football team. I just am not confident in that unit. As much as I think it has a chance to be better, we got to see it to believe it. And then I think maybe even more of a question mark than our offensive line. And these might be the two biggest question marks on our on our entire team, to be completely honest. Offensive line, and then you move to the receiver room. Both of our biggest question marks, I think, are on the offense side of the ball. I don't know what to make of it. I'll be honest with you guys. I don't know what to make of it. I just don't there's not a guy that I feel good about. And I don't know the last time I could have said that for Maryland football, saying that I don't know if there's a guy that I feel good about. There's just not a lot of receiving yards to go around, especially the guys that kind of are already at Maryland. Caleb Webb is our leader coming back with 318 yards. That's really not that many. And then you have Jordan Scott, who had 1 reception for 10 yards. Ryan Manning has had 3 receptions for 25 yards. There is not a whole lot of production. Zymer Smith barely played last year. Mekhi White, somebody I haven't talked about a ton, but I think he has some talent. I actually thought he had a chance to be really good. He hasn't really played a lot, but I do think he has a talent. You bring in 2 guys or a couple of different guys, and Naheem Abdul-Rahim, who was pretty good at ODU, and Chris Durr was pretty good at Wyoming, each kind of having decent years or better than decent years. But it's still the question, what do we make of this group? And I don't know. And maybe some of the freshmen can be decent. I don't know. Jaden Kitchens, Josiah Teasley. I don't really know what to make of this group. I don't think there's an alpha. I don't think there's a number 2. And I think it's going to be a dog fight to get on the field. And there's not a single guy in that room that I feel good about. And that makes it a huge question mark and a huge concern for Maryland football. I'm not saying there's not potential there. I'm not saying some of these guys can't end up being good, but I am saying there is a huge question mark there, and I just don't know how it's going to work out. I just don't. And those are 2 position groups that are extremely important. If Maryland can't block up front, we're not going to run the football, so you can take out the run game. And if these receivers can't get open, then Malik Washington is going to have a really hard time throwing the football. And you can take out the pass game. And those are really the only 2 things you can do on the offensive side of the ball. And so I know it won't be that extreme where it's oh my gosh, Maryland can't run the ball, can't pass the ball, can't do any of those things. But you guys know what I mean. There's concerns on kind of both sections of our football team, where in the past I feel like I've been okay, yeah, Maryland's run game's not great, but we know the pass game's going to be good. We know that Talia is going to be able to find guys outside. We know that Malik Washington has Jaleel Farouk, who had 545 yards last year. Shalik Knotts, quiet 717 yards. Even Octavian Smith, 529 yards. That's a lot of yardage, and we're depending on a group that just doesn't have that. And there's nobody clearly next in line. Last year, I was Octavian Smith's clearly next in line. You could argue that that's Caleb Webb. You can maybe say that's the 2 transfers, Naheem and Chris, but it's just not a unit I feel confident in. And even the running backs, DeJuan Williams was good as a freshman. I'm not as concerned about this. I think it'll end up being a good group. DeJuan Williams was good as a freshman. Iverson, or a redshirt freshman, Iverson Howard, I think, has talent. Harry Dalton should be interesting as well. But none of those guys have put up good numbers either. I know DeJuan Williams is pretty good in terms of, not in terms of running the football, but in terms of catching the football. He had a lot of receiving yards last year, 426, which was one of the top on our team, actually, behind our 3 behind those 3 receivers. But it's just definitely a big question mark offensively, and you hope Malik Washington can take the step, and I'm expecting Malik Washington to take the step, but there's no guarantees. So I don't feel confident in the Maryland offense. I don't know what to make of it. I don't know how it's going to end up working out, but
hopefully it ends up being okay is basically kind of what we have to wrap it up to. Let's talk about Maryland basketball a little bit more about their post game against Northwestern. What I want to, their post game against Nebraska. I want to say what they can do a little bit better heading into this weekend's game. We'll talk a little bit more about that next. Ever wanted to experience the NBA Finals live and in person? FanDuel is giving you the chance to turn that dream into a reality with their NBA sweepstakes. Here's how it works. Use your profit boost on any NBA futures, and you'll automatically be entered for a shot to win an NBA Finals trip for two. That's right, flights, tickets, the whole experience. And if you're already looking at the board and thinking about which team can make a deep run, this is the perfect time to lock it in. I love futures this time of year, whether it's picking a team to win the championship or grab a conference title. It adds that extra layer of excitement to every game down the stretch. And not only can you pick cash, but it could also send you to the finals. Visit FanDuel.com to get started and use your profit boost on any NBA futures, and you'll get entered for a chance to win a trip to the NBA Finals. Play your game with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA.
I'm Kalia Butler, host of Locked On Women's Basketball, and this is Mazda's Women's Basketball Snapshot, celebrating the work no highlight reel can ever capture. South Carolina rolled past Ole Miss 85-48 to clinch a share of the SEC regular season title and lock down the number 1 seed in the conference tournament. The Gamecocks extended their win streak over Ole Miss to 21 straight. UCLA dominated Wisconsin 80-60 to secure its first outright Big Ten regular season championship in program history. The Bruins improved to 27-1 overall and remain unbeaten in conference play. And number 12 TCU stormed back from a 13-point fourth quarter deficit to beat Iowa State 80-73. The Horned Frogs now sit alone atop the Big 12 standings and are 1 win away from clinching another regular season conference crown. These moments are earned off the clock, those long before the lights ever come on. The sweat, the fakes, the doubt, the scrapes, and coming back for more every time. Mazda puts that same drive into every detail. Wins define the moment, putting in the work, that defines you. There's more to a Mazda because there's more to you.
I want to talk a little bit more about Maryland basketball in their game yesterday. I know not a lot of you guys got to check out that podcast, so I just wanted to experience with kind of a post-game type of podcast where I recorded right after the game, but you guys seem to not really interact too much with that, which is totally fine. I won't really do it too much. But I want to talk a little bit more about Maryland's game against Nebraska and kind of my overall thoughts on the game against a Nebraska team that is obviously, we kind of all know, is one of the better teams in the country. They're a lot better than people thought, and I thought it was going to be a really hard test. Maryland was, like 16.5 underdog, something like that, and we did play a little bit better than that. But people are thinking, I kind of read some stuff that Maryland's a different team. They're a changed team. They're a little bit better. They only trailed the number 12 team in the country by 6 points at halftime. There's a point with 10 minutes left. We were winning the game by a couple points, and I thought we were going to have the opportunity to win. And it's definitely a little bit different of a Maryland team, but it's definitely still not a team that we can depend on to win games that you feel confident in, but it is a little bit better than what we've been. And I was hard on them yesterday, just saying kind of that I kind of believe that we can't take any moral victories. I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh my gosh, we were in the game the entire game till 5 minutes left against Nebraska. That just seems like a cop-out to me, and I just don't really like it. And we're headed down to the stretch with Maryland basketball. There's only 3 games left. Believe it or not. And it's not looking too good for the Big Ten tournament for us. I have to kind of go into that more on another day, but it doesn't look like we'll be playing too much basketball in March, which is pretty sad after these regular season games, definitely after they finish out. And I think last year I don't want to say spoiled us, but just playing in March in the dance, being a pretty high seed in March Madness. What were we, a 4 seed, if I remember correctly, being one of those types of seeds in March Madness. It was fun. It was fun to watch. It kind of kept us on our feet.
It was entertaining, all of the above. It was definitely cool to see Maryland be able to do that. And now kind of having the opposite of the season, it makes you appreciate that a lot more. And you just got to hope that Buzz Williams can get it on track. But I think heading into the last 3 games of the season, I think I want to see that first 30 minutes that Maryland showed against Nebraska. Play solid defense and really kind of distribute the ball around. Different guys can score the ball. Andre Mills obviously is leading us. I want to continue to see the effort from Solomon Washington and continue to see him be aggressive on the offensive side of the ball. 13 points for him against Nebraska, I thought was huge. I want to continue to see Elijah Sanders take threes. Like, he took 10 threes against Nebraska. I'm okay with that. Even if he only makes 3 of them, he went 5 to 10. He shot the ball really well. Like, they just kind of left him open. He's a weird kind of player. He can knock it down for sure, but you don't always kind of like respect. It's hard to guard a lot of the pick and pops, and Elijah Sanders did a lot of that and spaced out the floor. But even if Elijah Sanders goes 3 of 10, like, I still don't think that's really a bad thing for Maryland basketball. Like 30%, like, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think that's a bad thing for Maryland basketball. So I want to see Elijah Sanders continue to shoot. I want to see Solomon Washington continue to be aggressive. And then Andre Mills, man, he's become the stuff for Maryland basketball. He's become the guy. For lack of a better way to put it, he's become the guy, and he's earned it. He's been our best guy down the stretch for the last couple of weeks, and he continues to put up really solid performances. Honestly, better than I thought he would ever kind of develop into. Like, this is kind of what I expected from Andre Mills if we got him all the way to maybe as a senior. I didn't expect this kind of performance out of Andre Mills where he is at now, to be completely honest. Like, as a freshman, to see him develop as much as he did, it's pretty insane and really cool for Maryland. So that's definitely been something that's really been cool and that I've been keeping my eye on. But I definitely want to see him finish out the last 3 games of the year well. There's one guy I want to play for him to play better, Darius Adams. I think I really would love to see him improve. I know that he's still a freshman. He's really talented. I just think there's games where I think he can be up there with Andre Mills with points, different things like that, 3-pointers, and he just doesn't – he kind of loses his aggressiveness, gets lost a little bit. And with the amount of minutes he's playing, like, he's got a big leash. Like, I would love to see him stay aggressive, stay on his high horse, because I think he's a really good – I think he's a really good player. I think he has really good tools, and I would love to see him be able to kind of finish out the year well these last couple of games. I'd love to see like a 20-point game from him. I think he's more than capable, so I think that would be really awesome to see. But definitely a guy that I think can improve a little bit. Let's talk about 2 guys that returned to Maryland this season or heading into next season, but headed back to Maryland with the transfer portal. I think it's one of the more interesting things, but I want to talk about those 2 guys, kind of my overall thoughts about it. We'll talk about that next. The biggest stretch of the college basketball season is almost here. Buzzer beaters, bracket busters, and those unforgettable moments that everyone's talking about the next day. Being there live for something like that, that's a bucket list stuff. The hard part is always actually getting tickets. Prices jumping around and surprise fees at checkout. The Gametime app gives fans advantage with constant innovation. It's how to unlock amazing tickets and experiences in just a few taps. It's incredibly simple to use. The Gametime app guarantees means 100% legitimate tickets delivered on time at the best price. And here's the best part. Fees are included in the price you see. What you see is what you pay, period. And the seat view feature is a game changer. You can see a great view from your exact seat before you buy. Zone Deals lets you pick the section and save more while Gametime selects the seat. No stress, no guesswork, just a smooth experience from start to finish. That's exactly what you want during the busiest part of the season. Take the guesswork out of buying college basketball tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download the Gametime app today.
Welcome to the 5-Hour Energy Flavor Draft. With 18 different flavors to choose from, including new options like Confetti Craze, Fruity Rainbow, or Cotton Candy, there's something for everyone. The board is set, the flavors are ready, and I've got my number one pick for the 5-Hour Energy Flavor Draft. I think the guy who I'm drafting first, it's something I've liked since I've been a kid. I have to take the cotton candy flavor. It's great. It's sweet. It gives me energy, and it's definitely a really good number one pick in my opinion. And the 5-Hour Energy shots give you a boost with zero sugar. And 5-Hour Energy has a lot of upcoming flavor innovations planned. And you can find your new favorite flavor of 5-Hour Energy shots available online at 5hourenergy.com or Amazon. So I want to talk about LaVon Johnson and Preston Howard. They did something that was really rare, and I haven't seen it a ton in college football. Give me some examples down low of when this has happened, but I think it's a very rare thing. They left Maryland football last year, or a couple of years ago, I should say, and then they played for someone new last year. Preston Howard played for Auburn. LaVon Johnson played for Texas. Two big programs, SEC, big brands, a lot of history, schools that have a lot of money, different from where Maryland kind of is as a program. And then they decided to come back to Maryland, which I think is really interesting for a couple of different reasons. I think it speaks highly of Mike Locksley. It does, in the Maryland program. If you have guys that go to another program like a Texas, like an Auburn, and they decide to come back to Maryland, and those are two guys who had plenty of options. I can promise you that. I know Preston Howard had options. I know LaVon Johnson had plenty of options. Both guys that were pretty big in the transfer portal when they left, like had decent options or more than decent options, had a lot of options when they left. When you end up at a place like Texas, when you end up at a place like Auburn, a lot of people offer you. But they had options to go other places, and they decided to come back to Maryland. I honestly think that speaks pretty highly on what Maryland has kind of built in terms of Mike Locksley and his connection with the players. And it's something that I did want to kind of give credit to, because the fact that they left, realized, damn, the grass is not always greener on the other side, which is something that sometimes a lot of people don't realize. A lot of people don't kind of know that until you actually try it, and they decided to come back. I think is a really unique, and it speaks a lot to Mike Locksley, to be completely honest. And so I thought that was really cool, because I haven't seen it in college football very much. Again, like, give me some guys that have done it, but off the top of my head, I can't think of anyone. And I don't know if there's like an obvious one I'm missing or what, but there's not really anyone that I can think of. I know it's happened before, but I can't think of anyone that's happened to. And these are also two guys that are going to be really impact types of guys for Maryland football. Like LaVon Johnson, I think, is going to be one of the main guys in our inside defensive lineman rotation. Like, he's going to be one of the main guys playing a lot of minutes in that rotation, doing a lot for Maryland football. And then Preston Howard is going to be a top 2 tight end on this roster. I've talked about Preston Howard a lot. I've talked about LaVon Johnson a decent amount. Both guys are going to be really high impact players. It's not like we just brought back two guys that aren't really going to help us very much, that aren't really going to be able to be effective for us. We brought back two guys that are really going to help us in the long run. And I think that's going to be really beneficial for Maryland. And I'm kind of excited to see what they can kind of become in their kind of finishing up their couple of years. LaVon Johnson is in his last year of eligibility. And then, yeah, I guess Preston Howard has one more year as well. So I'm definitely kind of big on getting both of those guys back. Credit to Mike Locksley. It's not easy to go back and get a guy, especially after they leave, because a lot of people can be like, oh, screw them, they left. But we didn't do that. And I kind of like that as a program. Get guys that are used to being at Maryland. They already know people. They know the community. They don't have to be like, this is a completely new thing. And I think that makes a lot of sense for Maryland football. So I'm definitely excited to see how that ends up working out for Maryland. But definitely going to be cool. But that's all we have for today. Thank you guys for listening to Locked On Terps. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. We're here every day talking Maryland football and basketball. So thank you guys for listening to
Locked On Terps.